Have you ever wanted to have hundreds of little spiders writhing and creeping around in your pocket? No? Well, good, because Spider-Man Unlimited has been delisted from App Store since 2019 anyway. Just kidding, you actually can, because Spider-Man Unlimited is back, baby. Hey, welcome to the show. My name is Diego, and in case you didn't know, I've been covering delisted Gameloft games like Spider-Man Total Mayhem, The Amazing Spider-Man games, and The Dark Knight Rises. I recommend checking those videos out to be caught up with my experience with these thus far and how they have evolved with each new game. And if this is something that interests you, why not give a like, subscribe, leave a comment, and maybe perhaps check out my YouTube membership, where I offer things like emotes, early access to videos, and shoutouts at the end of each video. Any and all kinds of support are greatly appreciated. But with that out of the way, let's get into today's delisted Spider-Man game, Spider-Man Unlimited. On a day that couldn't have been more appropriate, because today is actually this game's 10th anniversary. That's right, Spider-Man Unlimited was released on September 10th, 2014, but was sadly delisted on March 31st, 2019, joining the ever-growing graveyard of squashed Spider-Man games. But not all is lost, since a team of highly devoted fans calling themselves the Spidey Hub have been working hard on resurrecting Spider-Man Unlimited with improvements like widescreen support and mods in the form of custom skins. I'm always getting comments asking me, how do I play this game? Where do I download? Help! And for once, I'm glad to refer you guys to someone else that can help you out. The Spidey Hub has a dedicated Discord for all things Spider-Man Unlimited, with detailed guides on how to get the game running on several devices, how to install mods, and a thriving community to help each other out. I'll leave a link to their Discord down below for anyone interested. And a huge thank you to the guys from Spidey Hub for all of the incredible work they've done. I remember Spider-Man Unlimited being the most prominent of all the other Spider-Man mobile games. I would always see it pushed to the front page of the App Store, probably because this is the game that's most appropriate for mobile devices. Other games like TASM and The Dark Knight Rises were trying to be more like something you would play on a home console, fully fledged open world games with voice acted cutscenes and in-depth combat systems. But Spider-Man Unlimited came out during the time of the endless runner craze. Temple Run kicked off a new type of video game that spawned a bunch of clones like Subway Surfer and even other Marvel heroes getting in on the trend like Iron Man. The formula is very simple. Your character automatically runs forward, and you can perform simple and intuitive gestures like swiping in different directions to change lanes, jump, and slide underneath obstacles. The goal is to run as long as you can to build up a high score, all the while collecting a bunch of tokens to spend on upgrades and unlockables. However, Spider-Man Unlimited does manage to include some extra mechanics that make it stand out and give it a much needed Spidey flavor to it. Occasionally, you'll leap off buildings and you'll be able to web swing by simply tapping your thumb on the screen. A very simple one-handed mechanic that Gameloft was able to make feel good and like second nature to anyone that's played a Spider-Man game before. You can adjust the arc of your swing by holding down your thumb on the screen and releasing at different points. So yeah, much like how web slinging is handled in many of the wall crawlers video games. And it's made that much more engaging since there are those yellow pickups to swing through, as well as rings that contribute to your score. Spidey can also crawl up walls, and these sections don't sound as intuitive as web slinging, at least when you do it the way it's intended. See, to steer Spider-Man as he crawls up the wall, the game uses your phone's gyroscope sensor, meaning you have to chaotically tilt your phone left and right and look like an absolute jackass, when you can be based like me and map these controls to a gamepad. Seriously, these sections must have been a pain when playing on mobile devices, because to me they feel a lot faster when compared to when Spider-Man is just running. Not only that, but you have to deal with falling debris and fire coming out of buildings. This same control scheme is used when Spider-Man runs across the rooftop of the building you just finished crawling and dives off of it. Outside of traversal, Spider-Man can also punch and kick enemies, which I don't think is a common thing to do in Endless Runners. Most of these just focus on, well, running. But I mean, it's Spider-Man, so of course you're gonna have to have some sort of combat mechanic. Don't get excited though, it's nothing deep and it controls the same way the rest of the game does. When an enemy is within reach, you can swipe up to punch them or swipe down to slide and kick them off their feet. The game does keep things interesting by introducing enemies that have to be taken out in a specific way, meaning some can only be taken out by swiping up, and others can only be taken out by swiping down. Doing the wrong motion will make Spidey smack into them and very disappointingly end your run. It can actually get pretty exhilarating going out of your way to punch enemies. Most of them can be easily avoided, but there's the incentive of building up your combo by repeatedly taking out goons. And when you're actively going after enemies, you might have to make your way across multiple lanes and obstacles, thus increasing the chances of screwing up and smacking face first into something. The game also has bosses in the form of the Sinister Six, but don't expect different gimmicks or mechanics with each new boss. They all function exactly the same way. Whether it be Electro, Vulture, or the Green Goblin, they'll be hovering in front of you and throw down more hazards for you to avoid that are appropriate to their powers and abilities. Like Electro will throw down electric balls, and Gobby will throw down pumpkin bombs. In order to defeat them, you'll have to punch these shield gizmos their way until the health bar is depleted. Once they're out for the count, you'll be treated to a very satisfying sequence where you can hastily tap your screen to beat down the evildoer until they're obliterated. The main appeal of these endless runners is indeed that endless mode that you can very easily jump into at any time, anywhere, and see just how long you can go. With your character's running speed getting faster and faster the farther you go, it's a very simple yet addictive and appropriate gameplay loop for mobile devices. But I appreciated that this game also offers a bit more structure through its story mode. The gameplay is still the same, but story missions will have objectives like beat up a certain number of enemies, collect a bunch of microchips, or give you a definitive destination to reach. The story itself is not anything to write home about. One of the goblins found a way to open portals to other universes using ISO-8 crystals, allowing for different versions of the Sinister Six to come pouring in, as well as other versions of Spider-Man. In an age where it feels like a lot of people are experiencing multiverse fatigue, myself included, this story premise made me go, been there, done that. But with that being said, this game's concept of endless, or dare I say, unlimited variations of Spider People being its whole shtick makes its absence in the App Store feel like a paradox. Let's get into what's undeniably this whole game's appeal. Endless runners, they can be fun here and there, sure. A quick distraction while on a train ride home, but they're certainly not offering the most life-changing gaming experience. Endless runners are junk food, and that's okay. We need junk food in life. We need trashy TV. You think I want to eat a medium rare steak and a side of sauteed vegetables every night of my life while watching Citizen Kane? No, sometimes I want a greasy pepperoni pie, a side of wings, and put on Family Guy. That's what Spider-Man Unlimited is, but what was really trapping these players into this game's web is the same thing fans of Spider-Man games have always obsessed over. The suits. The damn suits. And I get it, I'm one of them. There are a few things in life more exciting than seeing what wardrobe of alternate costumes a Spider-Man video game offers. And this game had a damn near endless supply of them. There's a ridiculous amount of them, something crazy like over 400? I'm not even sure if that's true, but judging by this list on the game's wiki, it looks true, and I ain't counting to make sure. Insane pulls that I've never even heard of before, like Agent 9? Huh? Spider-Herc? Who? Werewolf Spider-Man? Okay, now you're just saying shit. This went beyond simply alternate versions of Spider-Man. There were entirely different characters to play as, like Venom and a bunch of other symbiotes, Mary Jane, some dork named The Answer. Answer me this! Who are you? The game has a cel-shaded art style with vibrant colors and thick outlines that makes all these vastly different themed spiderlings look pretty good, because it's very similar to how they would just look in the comics, just in 3D form. Like, imagine trying to make this look good in a realistic graphic style. Of course, the game doesn't just give you access to these suits right out of the gate. You spend those yellow vials you collect on runs or the premium currency of purple ISO-8 crystals. You can spend different amounts of these currencies for different tiers of rarities of Spider People. Naturally, with this kind of thing, of course there will be the option to purchase these currencies through microtransactions. I've expressed my frustrations with microtransactions in a couple of these mobile games already, and I'm not about to be wholly apologetic about them here, but hear me out for a second. They feel more appropriate in this game than they do in something like The Dark Knight Rises or The Amazing Spider-Man. Because in those games, they feel like they're meant to act as a means for the player to take shortcuts. Are you getting bored of doing side missions to level up your batarangs? Here, why don't you just buy the upgrades instead? If you provide these alternatives in case the player gets tired of the monotony of simply playing your game, then you're kind of failing at providing a worthwhile experience. Doubly so if customers paid to download the game in the first place. Don't provide microtransactions, just design and paste your game better. But in the case of Spider-Man Unlimited, the gameplay you see here, this is the whole game. It will always be just this, endlessly running and web-slinging. If you want to get a new Spider-Man variant, then just do more of this to get the vials needed to get your new Spider-Man, to then just do more of this, but with a wacky new Spider-Man costume. Actually, some of those Spider-Men have dedicated missions on the world map that can only be initiated by them. I go back and forth on this aspect because on the one hand, it's frustrating when you've been wanting to clear that mission on the map to finally get a 100% on that particular chapter of the story mode, but on the other, it just drives you to keep pulling that crank that brings in a new Spider-Man and keeps you on the edge of your seat hoping that it's the one you need. That's kind of messed up, isn't it? My biggest issue with this game's microtransactions is that it does that stupid thing of having you use energy in order to start missions, and there's a cap of like 5 energy coins you can have at a time, and every time you start a mission, it spends 1. So sometimes you'll have to wait up until 10 minutes to accrue 1 coin so you can simply play the game. This might not have been much of an issue back when the game was officially running, because it had some sort of social system where friends can gift each other energy coins. So, hopefully you had friends. The way I see Spider-Man Unlimited is as this generation's version of going to the convenience store, buying a pack of trading cards, and seeing what new ones you can add to your ever-expanding collection, and what duplicates did you get that you can trade with your friends. Or in this game's case, use to rank up that particular Spider-Man you already had in your collection. There's an exciting element to hitting that button and seeing what possible crazy new Spidey you can get, or hoping that it's the one you've been waiting for. I think there's a word for that. Is it gambling? Is it predatory? I don't know. Are trading cards predatory? I mean, maybe not, because it is a tangible thing which inherently gives it value. But then again, there's the whole concept of spending money to buy a pack of mystery cards that might include ones you already have against your will. It's a tricky conversation, I think, but that's kind of how I see microtransactions in this game, tossing a couple bucks here and there for a digital trading card. It's tough analyzing Spider-Man Unlimited for me because I usually talk about traditional video games, with conventional structures, but I don't really see Spider-Man Unlimited as a video game. From a technical standpoint, yeah, it is, but to me it's more comparable to a collector's hobby. Something you just do on the side that fulfills something in you. Growing your ever-expanding collection of spider people because it simply makes you feel good. Maybe every now and then you're bored and you open up your Spider-Man Unlimited app, go to your collection, and read little blurbs about all your collected little spiders. And it simply comforts you. More than anything, I see Spider-Man Unlimited as a platform to celebrate all things Spider-Man. Not only do you have a vast catalog of costumes, deep-cut variants, and supporting characters from Spider-Man's history, each with facts about when and where they originated, and a short description about what they're all about, but they also had timed events that would reflect ongoing story arcs in the comics at the time, as well as events based on movies like Infinity War that had you fight Thanos and featured costumes from that movie, which makes this game's absence from app stores so unfortunate. With the multiverse concept being ever so prevalent today with the Spider-Verse movies, No Way Home, and apparently another multiverse story on its way with the 4th Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, this game would still be thriving with updates and ongoing events today. It could have been the Fortnite of endless runners, but, specifically for Spider-Man. Thankfully, with the Spider Hub's efforts, this game is truly living up to its namesake today because you can have an unlimited supply of Spider-Man costumes through mods. I've seen people get their Spider Sonas modded into this game now, and that's just awesome. Hey, can someone mod my PS1 looking ass into Spider-Man Unlimited? That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, thanks for watching. Once again, link to the Spidey Hub down below. Special thanks to Sam and Carlos for joining my membership at the top tier. You guys are certified superheroes. I'll see you guys next time.